we opened recently a kiosk called Local Soul, and it's all local entrepreneurs who wouldn't be able to have their own spot and afford it on a going forward basis. So together, it's a collection of local entrepreneurs selling their goods. And a young man came up to me, a photographer, and literally, like with tears in his eyes, said, "I used to come here with my mom for Winter Wonderfest as a boy, and now I'm selling my art here." I mean, and that's what it's about. One thing that I don't think many people realize is that 90% of our revenues are earned from our operations. 10% are contributed through philanthropy and partnerships. And that will continue to grow, that philanthropy piece.
Sure.
And we're on the cusp now of thinking about what's next. And
pretty exciting.
What is the next iteration or era of the pier? We released a request for concepts to reimagine the East End spaces of the pier. So the current convention facility and the adjacent buildings or facilities around the festival hall. And so come 5 years from now, it might be a very different East End of the pier. We also have the opportunity to bring people to the pier. It's astonishing to me how many of the young people who we hire. We hire about 200 young youth from, frankly, the south and west sides every summer, and then for Winter Wonderfest. And the number of them who have not been to the lakefront or who had not been to Navy Pier prior to coming to the job fair, it's just astonishing and heartbreaking to me. And so we do have a goal that we will welcome every Chicago public school student before they graduate from 8th grade.
Welcome to The Intersection by Oak Leyden. My name is R.J. McMahon. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the CEO of this wonderful institution, and very excited for today's guest. I was laughing at when I kicked off the last episode that I am very excited. I'm an excitable guy, so I'm always excited about our guests because we have wonderful people that are willing to come in and join us. So very grateful to welcome Marilynn Gardner today. Marilynn serves as the CEO of Navy Pier. Yes, Navy Pier gang, right? So really fired up to delve into her story and just truly the intersection. Navy Pier is really the intersection of business, philanthropy, and civic, and coming together for really good purposes. So we can't wait to kind of unpack that. But before we jump in, just a huge thank you to all those that are listening. Thank you for the likes, for the comments, subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now welcome, Marilynn. Thanks for joining us.
No, well, thank you for hosting me. And
oh my gosh,
what an honor to sit with RJ.
Wow, that's I have not heard that in a really long time. So thank you. That's very kind. I think that's a wrap. Can we just end with that? Let's get that soundbite out there and be done, right? But truly, thank you, and grateful for our mutual friend Jean O'Brien for getting us connected.
The connector of all connectors.
Seriously, right? We are so blessed to have her part of the team. So very grateful for that. And so really just, how about just a quick, what is Navy Pier? There might be 6 or 7 people out there that don't know what Navy Pier is. So just a quick story about what Navy Pier is, and then we'll start kind of unpacking how did you get there and how have you continued to just build on this great place?
We can talk for hours.
Well, I'm game. I got my Diet Coke. I'm ready. You got your LaCroix. Let's do this.
Well, we like to say Navy Pier is the people's pier.
Ooh, I like that.
And not only is it a world-class civic space, but a resource for the community. And frankly, it is in a location like no other. So that's something that I think we have really leaned into and celebrated over the past, I'll call it 20 years, and our more recent redevelopment of the pier. But the pier opened in 1995, reopened.
Right, reopened, right.
Because as most know, it originally opened in 1916 as a shipping and recreation facility.
Right.
And in 1995, it reopened as a mixed-use development and has been, certainly the top tourist destination in our city and actually in the entire Midwest.
Right.
Since
Year after year,
1995.
right? It's just
Yes.
amazing, right? It's just so excited and can't wait to kind of dive into the Children's Museum. I think we were there when our kids were little, they're 35 and 33, but I think in their formative years, we were there at least every month, just taking advantage of the Children's Museum and then just walking the pier and just, oh my gosh, it's wonderful. Hey, stop the presses. RJ McMahon here, CEO of Oak Leyden. I'm here with
Michael Weber, and we're here to tell you about the Mighty Oak. It's our annual fundraising event, and it's our 70th anniversary.
Please join us. We've got America's greatest cover band from the 80s and 90s, 16 Candles.
We'll have live auction, silent auction, raffle, and tons of prizes.
You need to be here. Join us. Come on out. Riverside Golf Club, April 23rd.
Check out our website to buy tickets.
Right here.
Well,
Right.
and that's the thing we hear over and over again. Excuse me. Everyone has a Navy Pier memory,
Right.
whether from their youth or a story of their grandparents going to school there when it served as University of Illinois before Circle Campus
Right.
opened and was fondly referred to by its students as Harvard on the Rocks. So it has such an incredible history. But I think one of the things, people think about going to the pier for amusement, for
Right.
The iconic Ferris wheel, our
Right.
Centennial Wheel, for the tour boat and dining cruises.
Absolutely.
The Chicago Shakespeare Theater, you mentioned Chicago Children's Museum. But I think one of the things that people really don't know or fully comprehend or understand is that Navy Pier is a home to 70 local businesses.
Amazing.
And among those businesses, we collectively employ about 3,000 people. So it is like a little ecosystem in and of itself.
Absolutely. I love that, right? And again, that's totally flying under the radar, right? And yet it's the lifeblood, and that's how Navy Pier is able to function at such a high level, right?
Absolutely.
Day in and day out.
Absolutely. So among those 70 businesses, the majority are local, minority, or women-owned businesses. And so we've become really an incubator or a local business accelerator. And we have so many great stories of businesses that have gone on to the global platform.
Crazy.
And then same thing with our performing arts organizations, the arts and cultural experiences that we're able to bring to the public
Amazing.
for free.
Right.
Through performances, and obviously there are ticketed events too, concerts,
Sure.
the shows at Shakespeare, but really we're providing access to things that people might not otherwise have the opportunity to experience.
Right. So great. So great. So thanks for setting that table. Just phenomenal, right? And I love it. And I love that you weave all that together, right? So nicely. And so how did you get there, right? And I'm sure there are moments where you kind of pinch yourself, like, holy cow, I'm doing this, right? And you've been doing it so long that maybe you stop pinching yourself. Like now you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm doing this, right?
Right. Well, and it certainly wasn't an intentional path.
Really?
So, no.
You didn't wake up like one day like,
no,
that's
not-
what I'm going to do.
right.
What is that anyway? What is the CEO of that, right? What does
Right.
that mean?
Right. Well, so I had a journalism degree, and I went into public relations and worked, kind of cut my teeth in PR.
From the Harvard of Milwaukee, right? Marquette,
exactly.
right?
Yes.
Love that.
Absolutely. And so worked in PR firms and loved the work. I took my journalism degree, and I loved to write, tell the story, and was hired in 1994 when Navy Pier was originally being redeveloped. So there were concept plans, but it was pretty desolate. And so it was kind of a big risk that I felt like I was taking at the time.
Right. How did the
And-
family feel about that, right?
I think they were just happy that I was
Gainfully
going to be
employed, right?
gainfully employed and all of that.
It's the little things, right?
So just thrilling to be a part of bringing the pier to life, telling the story of the pier from the onset.
Right.
So, and I was fortunate at the time, the general manager who was running the pier, John Clay, included me in the construction meetings, architecture meetings, the operations meetings, and all of the board meetings. So I became intimately knowledgeable about really every different department and all of the functions at the pier. So throughout the years, and I I guess, taking on
Right.
more. And
I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say.
Right.
Yes.
And really, it became very much a part of who I am. And I had the good fortune to represent the pier with the city agencies, with state agencies, with the media,
Right.
et cetera. So I became, I'll call it the face of the pier for many
Right,
years.
right.
And then when the general manager left, they brought in a GM from Disney, and
Okay.
that didn't quite work out. So I was then asked to step in, and it was
Boom.
kind of like, well, wait, operations? No, I'm the marketing
Right.
person. They were like, no, you know
Yeah.
enough about
It's like,
everything. We
you've been
want
in
you
all
to
the
do this."
rooms.
Yes.
Do we need to remind you of that, Marilyn? You've been in all these rooms, right?
And then I had the good fortune, so I served as general manager from 2006 until 2011, when I was asked by the then, I'll call it parent organization, the Metropolitan Pier and Exposition Authority,
Yes.
which oversaw McCormick Place and Navy Pier. I was asked to lead the transition to the independent nonprofit.
Wow.
So I led that transition, and once the transition was completed in July of 2011, I was asked by the then board to serve as the president and CEO, a role that I have had the privilege of having since that time, since 2011. And I think you're all familiar with the transformation since that time.
Yes, absolutely.
So I led the worldwide design competition in 2011 to find a partner to reimagine the exterior spaces of the pier, and then
It was a pretty good choice.
Yes,
you
I
feel,
think
you feel,
it was.
you feel good about that?
Right. And I think going back to my earlier comment about the location, I think we found an incredible partner in James Corner Field Operations who designed the High Line. A partner who recognized it is a pier. Let's respect the silhouette of the pier,
Right.
but celebrate these views. You look
Clearly.
at the stages in Polk Brothers Parks. Like these views have been there for years, but we didn't really celebrate them.
No.
So I think
we kind of hid them for a lot,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
So yeah, let's shine a light, right?
Right.
Get that bushel basket off the light, right? Let's shine this, right?
No, so
Illuminate it.
Yes, and really transform the physical property into something that it's open, it's welcoming. There
Completely.
are seating spaces.
Exactly.
We had board members. I'm thinking of Nora Daly right now, where she said we need shade, we need benches,
Right.
and so all of the collective work of our board and the team at the time to how do we make this better, and that's something I think we're always very much focused on.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
Right. And so do you mind if we kind of dig in a little bit on the board, right? And kind of that transition from, really a civic entity, right, as part of the Metropolitan Pier, right, to this nonprofit. And what does that look like? And so do you mind just kind of diving in a little bit, one, kind of that transition, and then we'll get more into kind of how the board continues to support all the good work happening. But talk about the transition, because I think that's truly fascinating.
Sure. So since 2011, and as I said, when I led the transition to the independent nonprofit, we thought about physical, programmatic, and organizational transformation. And we had the plan for the physical redevelopment, and we were able to socialize that in the community and started, frankly, with the Polk Foundation.
Great.
And
what a great partner to the city of Chicago, right? Phenomenal.
Absolutely phenomenal.
And again, we have wonderful foundations and philanthropic arms and entities, but Polk really seems to just kind of fly down here, right?
Yes.
And they're just happy to get stuff done and not
looking for that.
They don't need their name on
accolades.
exactly, right?
Correct. So they really stepped up in 2014, and that gift was certainly reset the trajectory of the pier. It was a $20 million gift to reimagine the entrance to the pier, and we created Polk Brothers Park, and there are 2 performance stages and
so great.
A beautiful lawn facing the lake stage, a city stage to celebrate the incredible space that we occupy.
Right.
And then the fountain, which is an interactive fountain that, to see it in the summer, just children, people actually fully dressed running through the fountain. So
It's surprising,
yes,
isn't it?
Right?
Just think, you're okay. I'm not going to stop you. Right? Just go
ahead,
enjoy.
enjoy.
Exactly.
But so it's very much about bringing the spaces to life. And Polk was a terrific partner in that, and they continue to be, in that they pushed us to ensure that we were utilizing the pier as a platform to showcase what's truly best in Chicago.
Love
so
it.
we talk
Love
about all the emerging artists,
Right.
top marquee names, but bring the
Everybody.
stages to life with
Right,
those
right.
opportunities.
Exactly. And leverage those opportunities, not just for the folks that you'd expect to see, but some of the up and comers, right?
Exactly.
So great.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
great. How did that kind of engagement with Polk, was it, and obviously a really solid team, right? You and your team and then Polk, but was there a lot of kind of pulling along, or was it more kind of symbiotic, kind of hitting that plateau at the same time?
I think very symbiotic. However, there was quite intent and focus from Polk's part on this programming piece. Like,
So
we
good.
can elevate the programming and ensure that we're providing your guests, Navy Pier's guests, with opportunities that they might not be able to afford or access
Right.
or have any exposure to.
Right.
So that was critically important. But then again, that gift then led to People's Energy Welcome Pavilion, which was created in the park that then welcomes guests
Right,
to the
right.
pier and to the city and tells the story of People's Energy and Navy Pier.
Right.
It really kind of snowballed and kept going from there.
There you go.
So that investment in the pier. So one thing that I don't think many people realize is that 90% of our revenues are earned from our operations. 10%
Interesting.
are contributed through philanthropy and partnerships. And
Great.
that will continue to grow, that philanthropy
Right,
piece.
sure.
And we're on the cusp now of thinking about what's next. And
Pretty exciting.
what is the next iteration or era of the pier. We
Right.
released a request for concepts to reimagine the East End spaces of the pier. So the
Ooh.
current convention
Right,
facility and the adjacent buildings or facilities around the festival hall. And so come 5 years from now, it might be a very different
Right.
East End of the pier. So we're always looking to continually
Right,
improve
right.
and enhance what we have at the pier.
And to your point, not just on the physical side, but the
Right.
programmatic, right? And really
Absolutely.
looking at all of those pieces in the civic and how are we building community, right?
Yes.
So great. I mean, really awesome to have partners that get it, right? Isn't it? Isn't it nice that
Absolutely.
you don't have to be
Absolutely.
screaming from the hilltops, right? You're actually engaged in conversations with folks that understand, right?
And that want to be a part of creating something really special for Chicagoans and our millions of guests.
Right. And that's just so wonderful. Well done, you, right?
Wow,
and
we're
well
very
done, team.
fortunate. We
you've got
have an incredible team.
You're leading the charge, right? And so don't be afraid to say yes. That you're playing a little bit of a role in that, right?
No, and I'm extremely proud, and I do recognize that it
Right.
is a privilege to have the opportunity to really make a difference.
Absolutely, in a city that we all love, right?
Yes.
And so how fortunate and special is that, right?
Truly.
That's so great. So, do you mind if we kind of jump into your board, right? So,
Sure.
I've been in nonprofits a long time, as you have, and it's to have a board that is in step with where the trajectory of the organization is going, right, is really important. So how do you see your role in kind of fostering that? And then, how do you kind of allow the board to take ownership of certain pieces as well?
Great question. And, as you were posing it, I was thinking about the trajectory of the board. When we first became the nonprofit, Sarah Garvey was our board chair.
Okay.
And she had served as chair of Shed Aquarium. So she had that nonprofit lens. And then
Huge, by the way, huge to
Right.
have that and bring that perspective.
Right, absolutely. As an infant nonprofit, it was absolutely critical. And then Bill Brodsky came in and chaired for 10 years.
Wow.
And really pushed and
Amazing.
implemented the fundraising side
Huge.
of the pier. So that was terrific as we were going through the redevelopment and really instilling in all of us and in the community that just the need for philanthropy.
Right.
And built that program. And then Jennifer Staines was our most recent board chair. And her focus has been on really building up those local businesses. And she has certainly stepped up personally and professionally in helping us grow that program and support those local businesses. And now we are transitioning this year. Eric Smith is coming on board as our chair. And again, a terrific lens and perspective that he brings from his role at BMO, but also as a leader for the Civic Federation. And he most recently led the initiative to raise, I think they raised about $120 million to address crime in our city.
Right.
And so just a terrific partner who will help drive the organization forward. And I think the perfect leaders in each moment.
Right.
Truly. So, and
4 rock stars, by the way.
Yes,
well done.
I mean,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, seriously. And to your point, each with a little bit of different skill set.
Yes.
That continue to move the mission in a way that was integral to where you are now and where you're going to be.
Absolutely.
Right?
And so then the board that has been built over recent years is the board that's thinking now about the future too. So Steve Koch is our planning chair,
Great.
and he has been leading our efforts to think about what's next and was part of our he led our strategic planning effort in partnership with McKinsey and Civic Consulting Alliance just this past year.
Pretty good group
Yes,
leading
right.
leading that
So
with Steve at the helm, right?
Well, and you think about these are leaders in our community, civic leaders. I mean, just so we're all aware, they don't get paid a penny to do this.
These are volunteer roles, folks. Volunteer roles.
And they contribute personally. They bring others to the table.
They bring their networks to the
Yes,
table, right? Yes.
It's really a terrific board, and I can't.
It's a labor of love, right? And I'm sure you see that.
That is absolutely it. And they know that as stewards of the People's Pier, they know this is an extraordinary legacy, and everybody is so committed to ensuring that we're taking it forward and ensuring that it truly is a resource for the community and holds true to its mission as the People's Pier.
So good. That's so really, really good.
Very fortunate. So many board members, hard to name them all.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Terrific partners.
Right, and you all know who you are. So thank you for the
Yes,
service.
yes.
On behalf of those of us that are in the city of Chicago that have taken full advantage of the Navy Pier, the People's Pier, right? Thank you. Right. And thank you. Right. And so that's just awesome. And so how do you, because we all know whether it's in our roles in leadership or at the board level, sometimes we get a little bit removed from the mission. Right. So how do you continue to keep the mission prevalent during board meetings for the board? Like, how do you engage them? And I'm sure many do it on their own, but you have to be intentional in that. Right.
Absolutely. And we attempt to ensure that the board members are able to experience different elements of the pier. Obviously, many go to events, say in the Grand Ballroom, cultural events, fundraisers, et cetera. But then we host occasional events to ensure that they're seeing the things that we do. We recently brought back Winter Wonderfest after a 5-year hiatus, post-pandemic. Took us a while to get it back, but it's back. And we invited all of the board to join us for the preview. So engaging them in that way, but then we also very intentionally invite partners. So of those 70 business partners on the pier to come speak at our board meetings. We also, I'm thinking right now of one of our former tenants, Stephanie Brown Sugar Bakery. We went and found her on 75th Street.
Oh my gosh.
Because of her presence on the pier, she has outgrown Navy Pier. She's on the global stage. And she comes back to tell that story to our board, and
what a great story, right? That's so good.
It showcases the why, the why we're here, the opportunity that we're able to create for local entrepreneurs, for
Right.
performers, for all the businesses, for our guests.
Exactly.
Yes, so-
Exactly. Because ultimately, that's kind of how we all get to the pier as guests, the majority of us, right? But all of these ancillary benefits and all of these ancillary impacts are really amazing, right? And you ever kind of step back like, holy cow, this is happening. And it's like the flywheel. It's just now it's going, right? Now you've got the momentum going, but you can't take your eye off it, right?
Well, and I like that you use the wheel analogy.
Exactly,
So
right? I thought you might like
wheel,
that, right?
No, and you're reminding me now that speaking and connected to Winter Wonderfest, we opened recently a kiosk called Local Soul, and it's all local entrepreneurs who wouldn't be able to have their own spot and afford it on a going forward basis. So together, it's a collection of local entrepreneurs selling their goods. And a young man came up to me, a photographer, and literally, like with tears in his eyes, said, I used to come here with my mom for Winter Wonderfest as a boy, and now I'm selling my art here. I mean, and that's what it's about.
Done,
Sure.
right? Done,
know,
right? Like,
right.
exactly, totally, right? How
Right,
could
but
you not
that's-
be, right? Just
That's what it's about.
exactly, right? And you know, it's the old adage, right? We're planting seeds, we don't know, how and where they'll grow, but you are, and that's just really awesome. So that's really good. Well done. Well
No,
done.
and it's an honor, but it's also a responsibility.
Right,
And I
right.
feel like we have this platform that we need to utilize as a platform to showcase what's truly best in Chicago
Right.
and to give artists and entrepreneurs opportunity.
Right. So, when you look at obviously the piers we've talked about is a destination, it's a special place, and there's the geography of it all, right? And the physical plant. How do you, and maybe this is somewhere downstream, and I know that there are opportunities to kind of take the show on the road a little bit, right? So, how do you leverage that kind of in different areas, and what does that look like?
Well, and I think that's something that there's so much opportunity
Right.
to grow in that perspective. We've had recent conversations about like Shakespeare Theater recently shifted from they did Shakespeare in the Parks to now Shakespeare in the City. And they went to block parties and street fairs throughout the summer. So to
good.
take what we're doing on the pier elsewhere is something that we certainly aspire to do. We participated this year in the Mag Mile Lights Festival.
Right.
And these are partnerships that I think that are very meaningful, where we're all collectively working together to ensure that the city and our community continue to be elevated, and
Right.
in partnership we're able to leverage the audiences at different locations like Mag Miles. So
Exactly.
more of that to come, but we know we also have the opportunity to bring people to the pier.
Correct.
It's astonishing to me how many of the young people who we hire. We hire about 200 young youth from, frankly, the south and west sides
Great.
every summer, and then for Winter Wonderfest. And the number of them who have not been to the lakefront or who had not been to Navy Pier prior to coming to the job fair, it's just astonishing and heartbreaking to me. And so we do have a goal that we will welcome every Chicago public school student before they graduate from 8th grade.
So great.
It's a heavy lift.
But
There are lots of factors that go into it, but it's something that we know that we can achieve.
that's so great. That's so great. And you know what? And sometimes we need that kind of moonshot, right? To just to focus and kind of rally the troops a little bit. Like,
Absolutely.
okay, how are we doing this? How are we engaging not just the usual suspects, right? But how are we bringing this message forward? And really,
we need philanthropy to help us
Completely.
make that happen,
Right,
right?
right.
Because some of these schools, they can't afford the buses. So
exactly. How do we
how
underwrite
do we
that?
offset that?
Exactly.
How do we make these opportunities available to everyone?
Right,
It's the
right.
People's Pier.
Exactly. Let's
Accessible to all.
accessible to all, and inviting all,
Yes,
right? And to
absolutely.
be part of this, because frankly, it's a better experience if we're all doing it, right?
Absolutely.
And right, it'd be kind of dull if it's just you and me,
Right,
right?
exactly.
Let's get everybody involved in this, right?
Yes,
And so,
yes.
yes, how fortunate are we that we have that opportunity to do it? And let's keep spreading that, right? Let's take that
Absolutely.
pixie dust and
Yes.
spread it around, right?
No, and there's
So-
so much more opportunity to come. And I think you are likely aware we opened a hotel, the Sable Hotel.
Right.
During coming out of pandemic, actually. And that's been a great amenity and something special and new that, you're nearly a mile out onto in the lake.
Exactly.
The views are spectacular.
Right.
Recently, this summer, we opened a transient marina. So there was no place in Chicago, unless you belonged to the yacht clubs, where you could come with a boat from throughout the Great Lakes to dock for an hour up to a month. So
That's great.
We're thrilled to have that as well, really
That's so great.
connecting Navy Pier to the Great Lakes.
Right. And that's how it all started, as we talked about,
Right.
right? And so let's keep leveraging kind of those origin stories, right?
Right.
It's so good. So good. So how do you see kind of as you're looking ahead, and I love kind of the teasers that there'll be more to come for some of this stuff, right? But how do you see, as we talked about earlier, and this intersection that we have highlighted, the business, philanthropy, and civic, and you've highlighted all of that. How do you see kind of Navy Pier's role in keeping that group or being part of that room, right? As bigger conversations are happening, right?
Yes. Well, I think, like I said, the pier has such an important place in our city's history, and the ability to, with our, call it 8-9 million annual guests coming from not only across the street, but from around the globe.
Exactly.
We have an opportunity to provide a platform to showcase everything that's happening in Chicago. And we like to also say that we're Chicago's front porch.
Totally.
So I think, and the team is really intentional about creating partnerships that allow others to showcase what they are doing civically and philanthropically at the pier. So for visitors and for locals who are rediscovering the pier, we're able to provide a platform to showcase and provide access to opportunities.
That's so great. That's
Right.
so great. And I would imagine at this stage of your lifespan at the pier and the pier's lifespan, I'm sure you're getting a lot of knocks on the door like, hey, have you thought about this, right? So you don't have to come up with all the ideas, right? You and your team, right? Things are coming to
Absolutely.
you, right, to leverage.
I mean,
How
there's
great.
so much creative talent in our city, and in philanthropy and business, and it's bringing those partnerships together and ensuring that we're a platform for them.
Right. That's so great. That's so great. Before pre-camera, right? You had referenced, kind of a conversation you were having and a luncheon that you attended, and Choose Chicago, and the idea that let's keep selling Chicago, right? And really engaging, and leveraging the good parts, Navy Pier, right? And all of that, and just kind of speak a little bit about where you see kind of all of these millions of visitors from around the globe, from across the street, and their kind of connection and attention to the city, and just, kind of where we're going, right? And the good stuff that's happening.
Yeah. Well, and I really think we have recaptured the
I agree.
narrative, and as a city and a community, we're driving the narrative and showcasing how absolutely incredible Chicago is. And I think anyone listening would agree, when people who have not visited Chicago come to Chicago for the first time, they're absolutely blown away.
Absolutely.
Blown away. And we need to continue to put our best foot forward,
Amen.
tell the
Right.
positive story, and ensure that we're encouraging businesses to move to Chicago, that we're inviting the world to our city,
Right.
and ensuring that it's as welcoming as, you hear about how there are no nicer people on the
Exactly.
planet than in Chicago.
Absolutely.
And that's part of our story too. And it's the people who make our city so great. So let's keep amplifying that message and narrative.
Totally.
Yes.
That's so great. That's so great. So when you're traveling around, right, and on work or pleasure, and I'm sure your antenna are up, right? And whether you're walking around, South Street, Seaport in New York, or Faneuil Hall in Boston, or any place in Europe, and you're thinking, wow, that's pretty interesting. How could we maybe, right? So talk a little bit about your experiences out and about, and like, let me make a mental note of that, right?
Well, actually, recently, I was asked to serve on the advisory council for the Stavros Nicaros Foundation Cultural Center in Athens. And
fascinating.
Yes.
I did not get that call. So, yeah.
So, strange. But so they pulled together a group of leaders of entities like Navy Pier, like throughout the world, to be thought partners and thinking about how to help bring the space that was created in Central Athens to life. And they actually cited that they looked at Navy Pier as a model initially, and that's why they reached out. But so I'm so fortunate to have had the opportunity to convene with other organizations throughout the world who are doing similar things. So
amazing.
So to gather ideas and to share ideas and have thought partners literally from around the globe, I think will continue to be critical and instrumental in helping take the pier into the future as well. So in there are local opportunities too, and you're right, I'm always thinking about what's next and how can we change this? How can this be better?
We have about an hour together, and I already figured that out. That you're assessing. You're.
No, and I think that's just something innate in me and in the team is okay. How do we do this better? How do we
completely?
What's our next move?
Right.
And how do we continue? And I think that's where we're fortunate that we move forward with redevelopment in 2011 through 2016, and that we were thinking early on about what's to come when the pier hits its centennial. And now we have a strategic plan in place to take us through 2030, and then we'll start working on the next plan.
Exactly.
A year or two. So it's always like keep ahead of it, see what's out there in the world, because now with technology, I mean, the technology gets outdated so quickly, so we have to be constantly thinking what's next. But that's, I think, the beauty of the pier is that we've continually evolved to meet the current needs of our guests.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that we need to continue to focus on and ensure that when you come to the pier, there's always something new or something different to experience.
Exactly. And isn't that great? And at no point have you all rested on your laurels and said, okay, I think we're good. Like this is about as good as it's going to get, right? And because who would have thought 10 years ago, we could probably get a hotel here, right? And I don't think that was it's certainly from the cheap seats. No way. There's enough going on. Don't mess that up, right?
Well, in the hotel and the marina were prohibited uses at the pier according to our planned development ordinance. And then, so that's kind of a thing, like, don't tell me.
Right.
So it's like, okay,
exactly.
Watch that.
Okay, exactly.
So, and we love those challenges, and we love to think big and bold and ensure that we're
big and bold. Where have I heard that before? Some guy named Burnham? Is that where I'm getting it, right?
Exactly. Well, that's the Chicago way, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. Keep going. I can't wait for the next big and bold, right? This is exciting. Good stuff.
Well, you just wait.
Right. I love those teasers. Can't wait. We'll have to have you back,
I'll
right?
come back to talk.
All right. We'll be ready. The seat will be warm for you. We can't wait. Can't wait. So outside of, I don't know, I have 168 hours in my work week, actually. I don't know how many hours you have. Do you do anything else besides kind of run this phenomenal people's pier, right?
Well, I do have a family. I
Excellent.
have 3, but now they're all grown. College.
Funny how
and
that
beyond.
works, right? Exactly.
It happens way too quickly.
Add water and they just keep growing, right?
So, and I most of my board commitments currently are really local tourism hospitality based right now.
That makes sense.
Right. And I just termed off Marquette University's alumni board.
Nice.
And then St. Ignatius College Prep, my high school and my children's high school. So I
There you
just
go.
turned off both of those boards. So now I'm exploring
Free and
other
easy,
opportunities.
right? Watch out.
Yes,
Watch out, folks.
yes.
Exactly.
But this, the opportunity in Greece has been terrific. And then I'm
Phenomenal.
also part of the Global Cultural District Network. Again, great place to
Right.
interact with others who
So great.
are doing
Like-minded
great things.
people,
Yes,
right?
yes.
That I'm sure are, just sponges, right? They're just looking for, as I'm sure you are, right? And what a great room to be
Always.
part of. What a great
Yes.
table to be around, right?
Very fortunate.
Yeah, well
Oh,
done.
and I took up golf.
Did you now?
Yes,
And how's that going?
That's
So our pal who is managing all of this, John Morris, he has a podcast, Golf with JMO. So you might
well,
have
I'm
to
not there yet.
Exactly.
No, you're not.
You just ride along in the cart. He really hits the ball the most, right? And you just kind of ride along and answer questions each hole. That's all. It's pretty
Perfect.
straightforward, right?
That's doable.
So, what got you into golf?
Over the years, I was invited to
Hundreds of golf outings, right?
countless golf outings, and I could never participate. I
Right.
mean, I played golf as a kid, but I was a swimmer and tennis player.
There you go.
So those were my passion,
Right.
my focus.
There are no
And
swimming outings.
No.
No, and very few tennis
no,
outings. I'm still waiting for those
zero,
myself.
Not
Exactly.
a one. So, I took it up recently through a lot of encouragement and
Nice.
friends and husband who said, "Gotta
You should
get
do
out
this,
there."
right?
And I absolutely love it. So,
Awesome.
and it's been great socially and also professionally.
Right.
Certainly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So,
So,
a great skill to have. I'm not great, but
hey, keep it moving,
I
right?
know how to keep it moving.
See, that's more than more than meets the eye, right?
Yes.
Any of those of us that have been out there in the dreaded 6-hour round, it's like, can you just keep it moving, right? Just hit the ball and keep moving, right? Let's not overthink this, people, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, congrats on that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge
So,
accomplishment for me.
Totally. It feels like we're gonna have to get out on the course this summer,
I'd
right?
love to.
That would be very fun. We'll do that. Good stuff. So, so your kiddos, are they in and around Chicago?
My oldest graduated from Santa Clara University in June, and she is working full time.
Love that.
Gainfully
Congratulations.
employed.
There we go.
Big
That's a
deal.
good.
Living at home for now.
That's
but
okay.
Exploring
That's okay.
her options.
Right.
I have a junior daughter at Marquette who just came back from a semester in Madrid.
Wow.
which
Did you
was
guys get to visit?
Yes.
Lovely.
It was absolutely beautiful. We also went to Lisbon.
Wow.
Which was fabulous as well. And then my youngest, Patrick, is a freshman at Marquette as well.
There you go. Go Jesuits.
Right?
Right. All in. Love that.
So, and I'm thrilled that they're both at my alma mater.
Right,
Though
that's
it was
pretty cool.
not, I did not push, but they are right where they belong.
My kids would say that they also attended where my wife and I went. I think they would say that they were pushed into going to our alma mater. So.
I didn't push, I promise.
Yeah, I tried to claim that we didn't, and my son refuted that. Dad, I had stuff in my crib. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fair. Yes, you did, and you had a lot of maroon and gold, and we're
in your face all the time.
kind of, yeah. But we're stronger for it. That's why I try to tell them that.
There you
It's
go.
not always believing me. So yeah, good stuff. So good. So just really excited that we've had this time. So when you think about kind of the intersection, right, and you've so nicely articulated how in your world really those civic, philanthropy, and business have come together, right? How do you see, if you look a little bit more global, at least global around Chicago, how do you see all of these different factors kind of helping contribute to tell the story of where Chicago is and what we're all doing?
As you were talking, I'm thinking back to when Chicago went after the Olympic bid.
Right.
Because at that time, business, philanthropy, community, and government
Right.
were all working so closely together with
And we're working so hard to get that.
Yes, with singular focus and collaboration that was like no other time in this city.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where great opportunity lies to reinvigorate the intersection
Right.
and ensure that everyone is really working together and collaborating to move our city
Great
and
city
community
forward, right?
And I think it's incumbent on all of us sitting in these seats to take that responsibility,
Right.
understand it, and drive it forward.
Right,
But it's
right.
that intersection that makes the difference and will make the difference.
That's
in
so
our
well
city.
said. Do you see anything kind of moving forward that can galvanize at that same level? I mean, the Olympics is kind of its own animal, right? But that was really, I know many of us were energized by that process. Disappointed that we didn't get it, but really energized by the fact that we all came together in that regard.
Well, and I've been in some rooms recently where we're focusing on what's happening around us in the country and taking this, call it crisis moment, and coming together. Again, that intersection, like this we have to see this as the catalyst that drives us forward
So
together.
good.
So
So
that
good.
I think in this moment, this is where we're going to see real change.
And, as I've said before, we're stronger together, right?
Exactly.
And right.
And that's
And we just need to keep that mantra, right?
And Chicagoans can rise to the occasion,
Yes.
and that's what this intersection as we move forward.
Right.
We need to rise to the occasion together.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank
Really
you.
love the conversation. Love all that you're doing and just the impact that you're making, right? And I hope, knowing you as I have and have come to, I know you don't sit back and say, look at all this that I've done, but you've played a really significant role in this. And I hope you have a chance to kind of sit back and say, okay, this is good stuff, right? This is we're making things happen. And so on behalf of the Chicagoans and all the visitors, 8 to 9 million that come visit the pier, the People's Pier, thank you. Thank you for just creating a welcoming environment that really allows many of us to experience something that we're not able to on a daily basis. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And know that it's a responsibility that I do not take lightly.
Clearly. Right? No, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's huge. And that's why you're great at what you do. And that's why you're a phenomenal leader. So thank you for coming and being part of this and loved how you articulated the intersection. So appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the intersection. Great to have you. Continue to like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you, Marilynn. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to see. I love the teasers that you gave us, right? So tune in, listen, watch, be part of the intersection. Thanks.